the physically possible. To understand highest and best use, we want to look at what's physically possible, because sometimes you might be able to build 20 units, but the site is not big enough. It might not meet its minimum lot size. So here we're using the Pro software, which is the fourth and last software that I'll go over. And the Pro software is able to simulate the development in two ways. One, in a three-dimensional way, so that you can understand, given my height restrictions, my setbacks, my number of units, what actually fits on the site. If we wanted to have parking, for example, if we have 2 spots per unit, which is a generous ratio, does it all fit on the first floor, which is important? And does it all fit after we add the setbacks to the required setbacks? So we also have the ability to adjust and allocate what is the front setback, the side setback, and the rear. And actually that is the rear, and I'll change that to the front setback. So now we have a setback on each side, so we're able to shape the building, and again, in a very general way. So the 3D model is one aspect, as I mentioned, and then the financial model. So as we adjust all the different parameters that go into, let's say, a back of the envelope actually is being created so that we can study what it would look like once we add the setbacks. In this case, we only need 10-foot setbacks, but let's say, no, we actually need 5-foot setbacks depending on what we're abutting. So just to be conservative, we'll add it, and we could see that the parking, if we wanted to include it in the structure, it does fit on the first floor. Next, you can adjust the assumptions for cost, for vacancy, operating expenses, purchase price. We can go back and look at the Zillow listing. It's $800,000. So we can come here and adjust what the artificial intelligence initially generated. And we can adjust that price to see how we can get the return of our choice. We can also see what happens to our return if we remove the parking. And as you saw, it went up from a 4 point something to a 5 because we're no longer paying for structured parking, which does not have a return or an income. So now we want to make space for bringing cars behind the building, and we can adjust the setbacks to allow for that space. Again, this has to be tweaked, but the idea is under a very short amount of time, we can take a look at what's possible and understand what can more or less fit on the site. We can also make a copy of the project to study what it would look like to go from a multifamily, a rental property, to a condo if we create condos instead, and see what kind of return we will get, and we can then compare the two. So now I'm going to set up the condo, make sure I still have my 6 units, which is the maximum allowed by zoning, and I'll adjust the price, the sales price. So right now I'm still making about the same return as multifamily, but if I raise it a little bit, let's say to 650 or 700, we can begin to see what that return would look like. First, let me adjust the amenities to 1800. I have my price in place. And now I want to adjust the price. So let's say the average cost for an apartment in the area is 500, but this is a brand new building. As you see, if I raise it to 750,000 per condo, I'm at a 31% return. So if I want to kind of play with that and bring it back down to 650 and see what kind of return I get, then I can do that as well. And, we call it sensitivity analysis, very quickly understand kind of what moves the needle on the return.